Hey, it's Law. I heard you guys wanted pads. So, not everybody likes them, or at least the stock ones, so we're going to take those off. Reason people end up using pads is for extra power out the gate. A lot of people want something to grab onto the wheel while they're controlling it, or while they're trying to pull the wheel back to brake. And some people want to be able to lift the wheel up to get up curbs and not have to dismount all the time. So we're going to make power pads and some jump pads. Let's get it done.
Starting off with tools, you got the cutting mat, ruler. The longer the ruler, the better. Box cutter blade's always a good time. It's always good to have your own blade ready. I've been using this DKL skateboard grip. It's literally just skateboard grip, but rubber on top rather than the standard sandpaper that we're all used to. You want to have some spare blades, double-sided tape. This stuff's rated for lumber, and it's been treating me pretty well. Duct tape. I like to use Gorilla Tape, but you can get away with any duct tape really. On top of that, you can either use 1/4-inch neoprene for padding and just make things extra pretty at the end and more comfortable. You can get away with using a towel or even small pieces of cloth. We're gonna start off by cutting this pad down. We will first start with trimming all these nubs. With these, I just like to follow the grain. It's not perfect, that's fine, because you're going to be measuring out pieces after anyways. We're going to be doing the scaling for my setup. If your legs are skinnier or if your legs are beefier, then you'll end up making them a tad wider or slimmer, depending on the width of your leg. But we'll figure that out when we get there. Now we have a clean block. We're going to start off by measuring out 6 inches for the top side. With this 6-inch piece, you're going to be able to cut your main body pieces, and then if there's excess, then you can start cutting the power pads and brake pads. Everything that we're going to be doing, height-wise, is going to be 6 inches. At the same time, I have a couple others that are pre-cut, so we'll just work with those. With this 6-inch tall piece, we are going to make sure that the side cut is even. We're going to start off with my length, which is 8.5 by 6 piece. And then we're going to make 2 of them. So we've got 2, those are going to be the main pads. For the brake pads and power pads, we're going to be making 4 pieces that are 2 by 6 and 4 pieces that are 3 by 6. So we'll start off with making the power pads. So right here, I usually measure out 1.5 inches from the bottom, and I'll mark off that point, so then it'll be right here. And then from the top point, I would measure in 1 inch from the side. So then I'll end up having that. Take my ruler, create a line from those 2 points, and we're just going to cut down. That's our base shape for our power pad. We're going to take our second mat piece, and we're going to take our ruler and pretty much create a guideline. With the other side, what you can do is you can cut the opposite by measuring up 1.5 inches and then measuring off that side. But what you can do is just flip it over and then use the last pad as a template and make that cut. So we've got both our pads symmetrical. They do their job. Take our double-sided tape, and then we're going to start sticking stuff together. So we'll go above and just apply adhesive to both layers on the bottom end. So with this lumber tape, you can kind of just fold over the excess if you don't feel like cutting it. Just lay it on top. Usually I make sure that the front end and the bottom end are the most even, because everything else is going to get trimmed off a little bit. We're going to do that one more time. So this portion, after applying that little corner, I'll usually just reapply the backing. Now, we are going to take our pad and we're going to start with a 45-degree angle. Usually I'll measure in about a 1/2 inch in, and then I'll make a cut at like a 45-degree angle. Just makes it more comfortable against your ankle. And then from there, what we're going to do is you can either use your box cutter again and cut down a little 45-degree angle up into this edge, but in this case, let's use we are going to line the two up right here. Just line it up with the front, and that's good to go. We will next do our brake pad. We're going to repeat the same process as we did with the front side. This time I'll line the pads up from the top side and then the back side, because after we line it up, we're going to make our trimming. On the ankle side, or the back of your ankle, you're going to end up creating that little half-inch coming towards at a 45-degree angle. And once again, we're going to create this little bevel at the 45-degree angle. You can note right here where the angle the blade's coming in at. It's right along the edge between the two pieces of foam. So then with that, we're just going to make another wedge that goes along the bottom. Take our tape once again. And then just cut the excess. Now you can rip off everything else while lining up the top and the back side. So with this, some people would end up making a bevel on the top side, but that kind of reduces the amount of brake pad that you're going to be using your leg to grab onto. Your leg's going to be pulling off on this back portion and then the front portion. Big reason that you would make the 45 is that rather than just making a straight up wall where the pad would end up having potential to tear at the edge right here, if you create that 45 or fill up that gap, then it allows for your ankle or your leg just to really grab onto the wheel and then kind of push the pad in towards the wheel rather than just rip the pad away from you. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we have both sides. When the wheel's against your leg, sometimes you end up having a little bit of pressure right at the corner of the ankle. So what we'll do is take the blade and create another 45. This is specifically for comfort, but what I noticed as of recently is that it acts as a pseudo Kuji pad, because when Kuji makes his pads, he usually creates a little divot that sits right above his ankle, or the neoprene that he uses goes right above his ankle, and then you're pulling it up right here. This pretty much creates that same effect. If you're using like high top Vans, or if you're using a higher cut shoe, then sometimes you would end up chopping a little bit more. It depends on what kind of footwear you have, but whatever lip that you have, whether it be your ankle or the top of your shoe, if you can create the pad to sit right above that, then you'll be able to pull up the wheel way easier. We are looking at taping this thing up. Take your Gorilla Tape, duct tape, whatever. This one in particular doesn't have to be too precise. As long as it functions, then we're good. I'm going to use the double-sided tape once more. Stick it right above, right in between the brake pad and the power pad. Trim it right there, and we'll take the other side. What I'm going to be using is the DKL skateboard grip. Peel off the back, start off with the top portion. If you want that little bit of extra durability for this stuff and lower maintenance, what you do is you take this pad and then you pretty much extend it or get a longer piece so it can wrap from the back of it all the way across the front and then across the back again. So yeah, now we have our basic pad set up. We got our pads made. We got Nick here. We're going to set this wheel up for him. Having somebody else, I can show you how to create jump pads specifically for another person. Pretty much just share the happiness amongst the world. So let's get this done. We'll start off with having you get on the wheel and let's get this garbage off of here. It's not fully garbage. You can take these things for the MSX pads, throw them onto a Nicola. They're beautiful, but on the MSX, they're not great. But it's okay, they can be better. Put on your own custom set of pads. So we'll start off with Nick. We're gonna have him either hold onto a wall, hold onto a pole, whatever's nearest by for him to not fall off the wheel. What we're gonna do here is we'll take off the centerpiece and then we will remove these other two slightly past halfway so they can easily be pulled off the full way once you figure out where your happy place is. You can also do that. Let's reapply it from this side. So with this right here, less commitment when we're trying to mount the pad, while at the same time figure out Nick's happy place. If you look from this direction right here, you can see that his leg is sitting a little bit farther forward, close to the middle portion. His leg still makes contact with that middle portion of the wheel. So then we're gonna line the pad up right above his ankle and right at that, right over by the power pad area. Or even better, what you can do is you take the brake pad side and then make it contact, just barely touch the back of his leg. So we'll probably align it right here and then we're good to go. So let's see that. Let's throw that right here and see how Nick feels about that. Comfortable for Nick. So what I'm seeing right now is a tiny bit of gap, or there's no gap at all really, right behind. So if you're coming over from this side, you want to be able to just lightly touch the pad. If it's touching a little bit too much or there's a little bit of unnecessary pressure, then we can shift it back a tad. How's that feeling for you right now?
Good. Feels like I don't like to lean back that far in order to brake. There's still a little bit of wiggle room, which I like. Going up to pick it up, I have a little room to turn my leg to active suspension. Don't have to move that far to go forward into the front pad.
As far as the height goes, it's fine for you?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we're gonna fill it over right here with a little jump pad right here.
The ball of my ankle just pushes right there.
That's exactly why you end up creating that little 45-degree cut right here. 45s make a huge difference, and along with that, you see his leg making contact with the, if you put it into the power pad, pull it into the power pad side, just at least this portion. Yeah, it's making that contact right here at that 45-degree angle. And we can just take the other pad. First I line it up off of the top side, and then once I can tell that that's even, then we can go off the front side, get that measured out. This is the part of the game where you just get to play meticulous. If I hop on the pads, you want to make sure that if your feet are in the same position on each side, that you're making good contact with both front and the rear. Take this little bit of excess off the yellow and just peel it off, give it that semi-permanent mount. With this lumber tape, it's great just because, yes, it's like super locked in on against the wheel. With it being thinner, you're not adding extra bulk that you would add with, say, Velcro. Yeah, the pad just picked up a little bit over there, but all you have to do is make sure you're pressing down on it to get the adhesive to really grab onto each piece of foam. Once again, we're going to take Nick and we'll have him step on the wheel. This time we're going to have maybe 2 pieces of foam ready with the 1/4 inch. Sometimes if you want, you could just kind of take however many fingers and figure out what fits in between his leg. So with this, you kind of feel the curvature, and then you're trying to figure out what kind of pad you would end up making to fill that little gap. So in this case, I want to make maybe a small block and then cut away at like 45-degree angle towards his foot. And then we'll make maybe 2 inches closer towards the pad, but then closer to about 1 inch and 1.5 inches maybe right above where his foot's making contact. So let's make more pads. This is a case-by-case basis. I'm making 2 cuts that are 2 inches by 3 inches. This one is 3 by 3.5. But what we can do is just slide it down a tad and chop it down the middle and make it work. For these 2 portions, we're going to take our double-sided tape. This portion doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to duct tape it all together in the end after we figure out our shape. And then we'll use more double-sided tape. For 3 finger spacings on the inner pad and then closer to 2 on the outside, we're just going to cut 1/2 inch, maybe like 3/4 inch, mark off the top. We can bring it back over here and do that choppy thing we did earlier. So we have that wedge. Chances are we're gonna have to chop off this little portion just to fit it along the heel of his shoe. We'll figure that out in a second. We're just gonna do the same thing on the other end and kind of mirror that angle that we had on this one. Once again, please don't cut yourself while you're making your pads. Okay, 2 blocks. They're about the same. Foot on top of the wheel. We can take this and kind of figure out where that's gonna sit. We're gonna take this little corner and chop off that little sliver right here. Reason being, if you don't do that, then it's not gonna be like near perfect contact with power pad. Because the more flat it can sit against the power pad, the better. You can take this wedge, since it's the same angle, you'll be able to extend that portion, pretty much just have a better contact for the wheel itself. Once again, better or worse? Okay, so again, if you look closely, this little gap that we wanted to reduce is doing exactly what it should be. We'll pretty much take a look at where that is placed on the wheel. Sometimes if you have like little screw points or something to guide off of, then you can kind of measure it out and see how far from the other side it is. Then you can kind of gauge with the other end how much you need to chop or where you can place the other pad. We're gonna do the exact same thing. We can line them up on top of each other and just make another cut right there. So with that, you can repeat that process. So for some riders, depending on your shoe size and the type of pedal, some people will end up enjoying taking some padding and pretty much putting it out here just to space out your shoe a little bit more. The more of the gap in between your foot and the wheel you can reduce, the better, just because when you're in the air, it keeps your legs from shaking around and being able to flop and have less control of the wheel. Or how does that feel?
Yeah, I usually like to put a different feet when I go for next time riding.
Okay.
How fast I'm going.
Right.
So I usually try and keep my feet as close to the body of the wheel as possible. But this can provide some extra comfort to people who want that with riding.
Okay. So you want that little extra piece for you or not today?
I'd say not today.
Okay.
I like
Sounds good. We'll take that away and we'll place the other side as we did a second ago. Try that again. While he's doing that, I'm just taping up the other side. Excellent. Let's get this side now. Okay, just gonna eyeball that and then see how he feels about that.
I might want to move this one a little bit farther forward.
Farther
Especially
forward?
because I tend to
How's that now?
Perfect.
Excellent. There we go. You can lift it. Next, what we're gonna do is fill up that little gap. So we're gonna take that little excess DKL padding. We're gonna take the wheel, throw it on its side, and then if you can see here, we're just gonna take that excess pad and we're just gonna throw it on top of there. So one of the problems of jump pads is that you end up losing the ability to bring your pedals up. It's not in every situation, because what you can do, you can take some Velcro and on top of here and then potentially on top of the plate. some people slip magnets underneath where the DKL is sitting. You move the little magnetic plate coming from the pedal, then you shift it over onto this side, and then it'll definitely be able to stick again. It just depends on user preference. If you don't care, then it shouldn't really matter. If people start complaining about at least your foot shifting backwards, then you can take a little wedge and then add it to the backside where the foot's making contacts. So once again, we'll have you get on top of the wheel, and then we'll figure out where your leg is sitting. Depending on their stance, some people, if they have their heel closer and they want to be able to keep their heel from shifting back, you can create a wedge with either a yoga block or something like that, and then literally just try to fill in this gap right behind here. The goal is to create a wedge that'll pretty much allow him to pinch against the wheel, get the most out of the jump. How's that feel so far?
That feels great. The only thing I might say is maybe there's a little fault down by the ball of my ankle area.
Ball your ankle? Okay. Where would that be in this case?
Right around.
All right, so in that case, all you got to do is pull this piece down. Either you could take some pliers or take the knife again, and then just rip out little portions of that 1/4 inch neoprene. Because it's also dependent on the height of the rider, how high their ankles are really. Try that out.
Alright, now there's a nice little indent here. Now I can really squeeze my ankle further.
Okay, yeah, we can mirror that on the other side. Just gonna peel this top part back down. See this, where we ripped off the pad material right here. Just gonna do the same. Okay, how does that feel now?
Feels great. So like instead of my ankles sitting inside of the pad, it's not getting under that. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Technology. We made pads. If you like it, then subscribe, like it. Comment down below if you want more goods, and if you want anything coming up from us. There's always all types of stuff that you can find on there. Thanks. Love you.